I'm doing God's work now. And I'm not doing anything else.
There was a time when it looked like China Ann McClain had everything. The talent, the fame, the opportunities, the kind of career that millions of young people dream about. She grew up in front of cameras. She became a Disney star. She appeared in hit television shows. Fans watched her grow from a child performer into a successful young woman. From the outside looking in, it seemed like she was living the perfect Hollywood story.
There's a reason why you see people dressed up as Satan. Full-on visuals of Satan, people dressed as Satan, dressed as a demon, got upside-down crosses all on their clothes or pentagrams on their clothes. People think that this stuff is just a game. No.
But what if the dream wasn't what it appeared to be? What if someone who had spent years inside the entertainment industry suddenly started questioning everything around her? And what if the price of speaking out was losing the very world that helped make you famous? Because that's exactly why so many people have been paying attention to China Ann McClain. Not because she was chasing attention, not because she needed publicity, but because she started saying things that made people uncomfortable. Things that challenged the image of Hollywood that millions of people have grown up believing. And whether you agree with her or not, one thing is impossible to ignore. She wasn't speaking as an outsider. She was speaking as someone who had lived it.
Things are real. These people that are dying in the way of the world now. And all this is an illusion. It's an illusion. This industry, for what it is, and everything that people look to and praise, it's not important.
And that's where this story begins. For most people, Hollywood represents success. It's the place where dreams come true. It's where talented people get discovered. It's where careers are made. But for every success story, there are countless stories that never make the headlines. Stories about pressure, stories about expectations, stories about people trying to hold on to who they are while navigating an industry that often demands more and more from them.
I think that my mind is just kind of shut down at this point. So I'm just kind of feeling a little numb, just like a little bit empty, like just going through the motions and just like, I'll never again have a friend like Cameron.
China Ann McClain entered that world at a very young age, long before she was old enough to fully understand how the entertainment business worked. She was already building a career inside it. She worked hard. She earned opportunities. She became a familiar face to millions of viewers. Shows came and went. New projects arrived. Her fan base continued to grow. And for years, she appeared to be exactly where she was supposed to be.
What I did know and have known, along with the rest of the cast, since before we even started shooting this season, is that I am leaving the show and was leaving the show. This was going to be my last season, regardless of if it went on or not, for different reasons that, to be honest, I don't want to go into. I just want y'all to trust me on it.
But fame has a strange way of changing things. The more successful someone becomes, the more pressure they often face. Every move is watched. Every decision is criticized. Every mistake becomes public. And sometimes the hardest part isn't dealing with strangers. It's dealing with the expectations placed on you by the very industry you're working in. Over time,
the whole time, they're trying to convince me I'm insane. They were trying to get me to take psychotic medication.
China began speaking more openly about her faith. She talked about spirituality. She talked about God. She talked about the importance of staying true to her beliefs. For some people, that wasn't controversial at all, but for others, it marked the beginning of a noticeable shift.
I feel like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress. It's a situation where now everybody's taking credit for this and that and the other. It was getting ridiculous. And I knew I was going to leave, so I got ahead of schedule and I bounced. And I didn't tell anybody where I was.
Because the more she spoke about her faith, the more she seemed willing to question aspects of the entertainment world around her. And that's where things started getting interesting. At first, many people didn't pay much attention. After all, celebrities express opinions all the time. Most comments come and go without creating major headlines. But China wasn't simply sharing casual thoughts. She appeared to be going through something deeper, something personal, something that had fundamentally changed the way she viewed her career and the industry itself.
Hollywood, that a guy that tough will be on the street waving and screaming, they are trying to kill me.
Yeah.
What's going on? Why is Dave Chappelle going to Africa? Why does Mariah Carey make a $100 million deal and take her clothes off on TRL? A weak person cannot get to sit here and talk to you. Ain't no weak people talking to you. So what is happening in Hollywood?
The woman fans once knew primarily as an actress was now speaking about purpose, about values, about spiritual battles, about protecting your soul in a world that constantly tries to influence who you become. And that's when reactions started pouring in from every direction. Some people applauded her. They admired her courage. They respected her willingness to stand firm in her beliefs despite potential criticism. Others were far less supportive. They accused her of being dramatic. They questioned her views. They argued that she was reading too much into things.
So I walk in the trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny.
And before long, the conversation became bigger than anything she originally said. Because once social media gets involved, nuance often disappears. People choose sides. Arguments replace discussion, and suddenly the person at the center of the conversation becomes the story. What nobody expected was how intensely people would react. Every interview, every video, every social media post, everything became part of a larger debate. Supporters saw someone trying to speak her truth. Critics saw someone making controversial statements. And somewhere in the middle was China herself, a young woman navigating a level of scrutiny that few people could handle.
They know good and doggone well that God exists. They also know that Satan exists. They're just counting on the fact that y'all don't know.
But here's where the story takes an emotional turn, because fame doesn't protect people from loneliness.
It doesn't eliminate confusion, and it certainly doesn't make difficult personal decisions easier. Imagine spending years building a career. Imagine investing your time, your energy, and your identity into an industry. Then imagine reaching a point where you're no longer sure that industry aligns with your values. That's not an easy position for anyone to be in. For many people, walking away would seem impossible. Too much money, too many opportunities, too much at stake.
Are you sure? That second, are you sure, means if you don't stay and do what I want, you're not going to get what you're hoping for.
Yet China repeatedly spoke about choosing faith over fame, purpose over popularity, conviction over comfort. Whether people agreed with her or not, she appeared committed to that path. And that decision came with consequences.
They're not allowed to consort with me. Because I saw you at a Diddy party, Tyler. You were having a glorious time. I spent a lot of time in Miami, and I snuck around Star Island quite a bit.
Because Hollywood has always had a complicated relationship with people who challenge the culture around them. Sometimes those people are celebrated. Other times they're criticized. Sometimes they're misunderstood. And often they're both at the same time. As the conversations continued, China found herself becoming a symbol in a much larger cultural debate. One side viewed her as brave, the other viewed her as misguided. Neither side seemed willing to stop arguing. Meanwhile, she continued sharing her perspective. She continued talking about faith. She continued emphasizing the importance of spiritual health. And she continued reminding people that success means very little if you lose yourself in the process.
The industry, it's about influence. There is a reason why you see people dressed up as Satan. Full-on visuals of Satan, people dressed as Satan, dressed as a demon, got upside-down crosses all on their clothes or pentagrams on their clothes. People think that this stuff is just a game. No, there's a reason why the entertainment industry is doing that, y'all.
That message resonated deeply with many fans because underneath all the controversy was a simple question. What is success really worth? Is it money? Is it fame? Is it influence? Or is it being able to look at yourself in the mirror and know you stayed true to your principles? That's a question every person eventually faces. Maybe not on a Hollywood stage, maybe not in front of millions of followers.
God is moving me in more than one way than just this show. It's bigger than this show. I'm doing God's work now. And I'm not doing anything else.
But somewhere in life, everyone reaches a crossroads, a moment where they must decide whether to follow the crowd or follow their convictions. For China, that crossroads appeared to arrive in public, and that made everything harder. Because when ordinary people make life-changing decisions, only a handful of people notice. When celebrities do it, the entire internet has an opinion. The emotional weight of that kind of attention is difficult to imagine. Every word gets analyzed, every action gets questioned, every belief gets challenged. And yet, she kept speaking, she kept sharing, she kept standing by what she believed. That's not something everyone can do, especially when criticism becomes constant, especially when people assume they know your motives, especially when strangers reduce your entire life story to a few headlines or viral clips. At the heart of this story isn't a debate about Hollywood. It's a story about identity. It's about a young woman trying to figure out who she is outside of fame, outside of expectations, outside of an industry that helped shape her life. And perhaps that's why so many people connect with her journey.
There's a lot to happen over this quarantine. These things are real. These people that are dying in the way of the world now. And all this is an illusion. It's an illusion. This industry, for what it is, and everything that people look to and praise, it's not important.
Because even if they've never stepped foot on a movie set, they understand what it feels like to question the path they're on. They understand what it feels like to outgrow old environments. They understand what it feels like to choose personal peace over public approval. And maybe that's the real reason her story continues to spark conversation. Not because everyone agrees with her, but because everyone recognizes the struggle to remain authentic in a world that constantly pressures people to conform, the struggle to protect your values when compromise seems easier, the struggle to walk away from something that looks successful on the outside but feels different on the inside. And that's where this story leaves us today. China Anne McClain remains a figure who generates strong reactions. Some people continue supporting her, others continue criticizing her. The debates aren't likely to stop anytime soon. But regardless of where someone stands, one fact remains. She chose to speak openly about her beliefs despite knowing it would create controversy. She chose conviction over silence. And in an industry where image often matters more than honesty, that's a decision that takes courage. Maybe history will view her differently years from now. Maybe people will continue debating her words. Maybe the conversation will only grow louder. But one thing is certain, her journey has become about much more than Hollywood. It's become a story about faith, identity, purpose, and the difficult choices people make when they believe something matters more than fame. The question now isn't whether people agree with China Anne McClain. The question is whether they're willing to listen. Because sometimes the most important stories aren't about success. They're about what someone is willing to sacrifice to stay true to themselves. And in a world obsessed with fame, that might be the most powerful message of all. If you enjoyed this video, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think celebrities face unique pressures behind the scenes? And what would you be willing to give up to stay true to your beliefs? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories that go beyond the headlines.